Oh, that is a nice copper coin. But oh, Doug, do you know what time it is?
45 up.
Who says 45 up, Doug? It's quarter after. What's up, guys? QuarterHoarder here. Welcome to the quarter after November 14th edition. I hope the stream is even going. It looks like it's going, but usually I have it running on a side screen and I can't see it yet. So if everyone in the chat can tell me they see us, I would appreciate it. We got a good guest on tonight, Matt Howell from Diggin. I've known for many years. Finds amazing things down in Virginia, Civil War, Rev War, scuba, shark teeth, bottles, fossils, everything. You name it. It's going to be one heck of a good show. I'm going to bring Matt on right at 7:30, but I want to say a couple of quick hellos. I see my buddy Wicked Digger, Chris, in there. He sent me some pictures today. He's got himself on a really good spot. So, keep your eyes out for his upcoming videos on that, Wicked Digger. I see, where'd she go? Hot Mess Fishing, Alicia, I thought I saw in there. I don't know, it's going, it kind of jumped on me there. But Alicia, if she's not here, she's usually here. She'll probably be here, so thank you. Vernon Wayne Smith, Marty Smith, Kitty Lobo, Rick Rorig, any PA History and Archaeology search, Slickinator, Turd Ferguson, Crazy Diggin, Dirty Paws Detected, Richard Brown, The Moose. There's Hot Mess Fishing, I do see her. Big Wave Digging Life, Greg Young, everybody, thank you all for joining us. Boomtown Treasure Hunter, Broomtown, not Boomtown, Broomtown. Let me bring in someone to help me read some names here. Mr. Dog Tag Doug, Mexican Doug, Jane Fond Doug in a bigger screen. How are you, Dougie?
I'm doing well. How are you doing?
Doug, I like the new laptop. It held together the whole stream. I watched it back last week. It sounded good. It looked good. I was going to say you looked good. You looked all right.
Yeah, it can only do so much.
right. It's not a miracle worker. But It held together. Dangus Squat Burger. Oh, I don't know if I got Dangus Squat Burger last week, but thank you. And I thought I saw Clem Fandango. I don't want to ever skip Clem. Jeff Probst, Ellen Huffnell, Patrick Parker, Workman's Adventure, Blinky Jr., The Animal Diggs, Sue Ramsey.
Hello, Sue.
Dino. A lot of people familiar with. Oh, Digging Up the Carolinas, Doug.
Yes. Doug's my daddy.
What's that?
Digging Up the Carolinas says Doug's my daddy.
Oh, okay. Yeah, a lot of people, a lot of regulars. I always say, there's Clem. I see Clem Fandango in there. Nick Shalino. Nice to see there. No, I won't skip Clem, Turd. Thank you very much.
Yes.
But some other people I don't want to skip, Doug. I certainly don't want to skip Charlie, the Heritage Relic Hunter, Doug.
Hey, Charlie.
He's been the hot swinger of the group lately, Doug. I don't want to say what he's been finding, but what he's been finding has been wonderful. We'll say that little clue.
It was a slow start. To be honest, it was a slow start.
Yeah, he gets hot after his nap.
Yeah, he goes to the truck. He takes a 2-hour nap. He comes out and he finds the most amazing things.
It works.
So, as I said, we're all going to go start taking naps. Between noon and 5, none of us will be detecting. And then 5 o'clock.
We better bring lights in.
It's just, I can't explain it.
No, you keep coming home with some pretty incredible things, though. Well, I'm glad you've been getting it. Look, it goes around. Everyone has their time. Your time's just lasted incredibly long. But
it makes me happy.
No, it was good. Hey, I like when anybody finds something good. At least someone's finding something good.
Yeah.
The days I don't like are when none of us find anything good. So, those days are tough. And talking about not finding anything good, let's bring in Rich Van Winkle and Lindiana Jones. No, of course, I'm only kidding. Rich always finds the lion's share. And Lynn had a bucket lister. Lynn's been hunting with us the last 2 or 3 trips now. And, when you first start detecting, Doug, it can be a bumpy start, a lot of big iron, a lot of junk. You're trying to get used to it. But she's getting better, and this week knocked a bucket lister off that anyone in the chat would have been proud to find. So,
well, it was a real.
Oh, come on, no, don't downplay it. I was standing right next to her too, Doug. So it was a heck of a find.
It was exciting to find something.
Yeah, something good. Lynn's like a garbage man, lugging around bags full of big iron and stuff.
Yeah.
And now she's finally on the goods.
You
And
got to
most of
clean
the
up the
stuff-
field.
Most of the stuff you dug this weekend, Lynn, was small, and that's good. If you're digging small things, you're doing it right.
Yeah.
If you're digging big iron, unless you're looking for big iron, but the way we hunt, if you're digging big iron, you got to practice. But if you're digging small stuff, that's the ticket.
Getting better.
There wasn't any battles here really, so we don't dig big iron that much.
No, not usually.
It's almost always a horseshoe or a farm implement.
Where we've been lately, you're right. These last couple of farms have been mostly, like farm equipment. She did get something really big 2 weeks ago that was really cool.
It's gigantic.
But
a
that
Volkswagen Bus.
It was interesting at least, though. Sometimes you never know.
Yeah,
Greetings
that
from New
has
York
to get
is in
displayed in the house.
Oh yeah, where, Doug?
I'm
right
sure
over that fireplace.
I'm sure that'll be in there.
All right.
Doug, I wanted to give a plug too, Doug, before Matt comes on. I just saw it before the show, but our good friends over at American Digger Magazine are doing a vote for cutest metal detecting pet. If you're known for not person, Charlie. So if you have if you're known for bringing your pet with you, whether they're on your Facebook, if you have a YouTube, a TikTok, or whatever.
Yeah, I'm a dog.
Yeah. So you weren't I didn't know about it to nominate you. But if you go to American Digger Magazine's Facebook page, there's 15 animals there, and you can vote for whatever one you want. Personally, I'm going to vote for Debbie's dog, Lulu, that I know and has been in some of our videos before. Debbie from Mind Lab travels the country with her little dog, Lulu, that I just love rolling around the ground with.
A very colorful dog.
Yeah, I don't know what kind of dog it is, but it's always playful. I always love going over there.
Oh, yeah.
So, but get over there and cast your ballot. I don't even know what they win, but I'm sure they'll win at least bragging rights. Let's see here, Doug. What time do I got? I'm looking at a few pictures that I have set up that Matt has found, our guest tonight. And I was telling Lynn, I don't want to show her prematurely, but one of these things, Lynn, you're going to fall out of your chair.
Oh, you're making me crazy.
Oh, it's so cool. It's so cool. And I knew he found it, but it's I don't want to ruin it yet. When I bring it up, Lynn, I'm just saying, get ready. Buckle yourself in.
Rich,
I'm buckled in.
Rich, get a couple cushions from the couch.
Yeah, get a couple cushions.
Put them on the floor next to her, so when she falls off her chair,
can you put a helmet on her? I don't want her to bang her head if she hits the floor.
I'll get my QuarterHoarder hat. It's over here.
The Key Date Kid is in the chat, Doug.
Yeah.
I have I'm putting out. I'm trying to get through all these summer videos, because I don't want to have us in shorts in January still.
Well,
so
I
haven't
get hustling.
Well, I haven't. I have an extra video coming out this weekend, and then one for Tuesday because we're all going to be away for the next couple of days. So I try to have them uploaded and ready before we leave. So in this weekend's special video is the day where Doug first got his Excalibur shovel. And from day one, Doug, you found some pretty cool things with it.
Yep. Oh, speaking of cool things found, Chris Fallon, our friend from Florida, who we're going to see shortly, found two halves. He pulled a Charlie. He got a Walker and a Ben Franklin silver half today.
Wow.
In the same hole?
Well, I don't know if it's the same hole. Posted on the Dog Tag Doug page tonight, will you, Chris?
Chris, did you get him in the same hole? I thought I saw him in the chat earlier. Put him in there, Chris, if you did. 5 Mile Relic Hunter is in there, Doug. Good dude.
Scott Cash
Scott Cash in there. Great finds.
How you doing, Scott?
Great finds in there. Our guest from last week. Thank you for joining us again.
2 different holes, he said.
2 different holes. Okay. Teresa, the treasure hunter, is in there. Our good friend and moderator. Thank you, Teresa, for joining us. I was going to say something, Doug, and now I forgot. Oh, it's Smoking Louie. He was the first one in the chat. I got to say hello to Smoking Louie. I had something to say, Doug, and I can't remember what it was.
Yeah, it'll come to you.
Well, maybe. Hopefully it comes to me in the next 4 minutes before I bring Matt in. I don't remember. Son of a gun. Teresa the Treasure Hunter. I think she's voting for Lulu also in the cutest dog category.
I like the way Smoking Louie says hi. HIGH. Is that like a double entendre?
It might be a triple entendre. Yeah. Well, his name is Smokin' Louie.
Well, that's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, might be. The Tech Dig Smile in there, Doug. I don't.
Yeah.
Now, forgive me, but I think Detective Smile does not a live stream, but those premiere videos. I think it is like I've never done one. I think a premiere video is like when the video first plays, the content creator is watching it live in the chat for the first time. I think that's how it works. I'm not sure. And if that is right, I believe Detective Smile does that. I've always wanted to do it. I just don't know if I'm ever going to be home during that time on a Tuesday.
Okay.
Dirt Fisher Matt. That's our buddy Matt, isn't it, Doug?
Who is it?
Thank you, Doug. Thank you for your help.
Dirt fishing. Yeah, that's Matt.
Marty Vistral, Digging with Marty, everybody in here. We got 2 minutes. I'm just killing time for Matt. I do see Matt is in the green room. Matt's very professional, Doug. I knew he'd be on time. I knew he'd be ready.
Yep.
I knew there wouldn't be any problems with time zones and all that malarkey.
We got a little preview of what some things he's going to show us and tell us, and people should be excited.
Yeah, Matt's a good one because, Matt does in the treasure hunting world like a little bit of everything. And I wish I did that. I can
see you scuba diving.
I would die. I can't scuba dive. I mean, I miss out on it.
You're afraid to wade in the creek.
No, it's not that I'm afraid to wade. I just I wouldn't know how to film it. I'd have to use a GoPro. It's a whole different thing when you're going under the water. I don't look good in a wetsuit. You got to have a wetsuit body, Doug. I mean, out of all of us, me, you, or Charlie are not wetsuit worthy.
Wait a minute. I look great in a wetsuit.
Yeah.
I don't know that most people look great in a wetsuit.
Rich would look good in a wetsuit because he's slender. Lynn would look good in a wetsuit. But me, you, and Charlie, Doug, no. We need to be in dry suits.
Yeah.
Now I know why they call me Orca when I was diving.
You got to have a wetsuit figure to do a wetsuit. Now, look, Matt's in the chat.
I'm getting a visual of Charlie in a wetsuit.
Oh, yeah. No one. We'll lose subscribers. Gotta keep them coming. But no, I mean, to find that stuff and shark teeth and all the stuff he finds, I just find it super interesting. I would love to do some of that stuff myself. So guys like that, you watch them and it's inspiring. I really enjoy people that do things a little different than the way we do it. You
got to get out of your comfort zone every now and then. And
I do once in a while. We do something different.
Yeah,
we do something. All right, let me bring Matt in, Doug. It is 7:30.
It's getting close. Yes.
Yeah. So if you guys don't know Matt, go on Diggin. He's got a YouTube page. He's had it forever. Facebook groups. I think he's on TikTok. He's probably on Instagram. He's probably on all the social medias. Always finding good stuff. Goes in large groups like we do. Gives you the best chance for success. I know I'm going to screw up the order here, but I'm going to try to bring him in. Our good buddy, Matt Howell from Gone Diggin'. I did screw it up. Hang on, Matt. God damn it. There he is.
What is up, guys? It's so great to be hanging out and chatting with everybody. So, dude, I'm super excited. Dog Tech Doug, my man Charlie Harley, to meet Rich and Linda, and of course you, Jason, who wouldn't be happy to hang out with.
Thank you, Matt. And Matt, listen, I wish you and Doug, and Rich somewhat too, you and Doug, two guys that really know how to work the mustache, Doug. I don't look good in the mustache, but you and Doug, you share that Magnum PI, good-looking man in the mustache look. I'm a little jealous.
It's all in the way you trim it.
Is that what it is, Matt? Is it in the trimming? Is that the secret?
I don't know. I'm a mustache rookie. As things
really
go.
You've had that for over a year now.
My chosen profession, for folks who don't know, is I'm a professional firefighter and paramedic, and we do no shave November. Sometimes it drags on, unlike into no shave December and then January before I trim up my my terrible appearance. But my wife doesn't really care for it, but she grows. She kind of grows.
Grows on
it.
her.
Okay.
So wait. No shave November. It's November.
Yeah.
Today's November 14th. That's all the beard you've grown. There's nothing there.
Yeah, no. I can't have a beard for my job because I have to wear a respirator. So that's why you see many firemen that just have a beautiful, creepy dirt mustache. So
okay, all right, that's fair.
Yeah, so this is what I get, and this typically takes me about 2 months. So don't think that this is the normal for me.
All right, well, it looks good on you, man. I think for some reason in my mind you've had that mustache for a while now, but maybe not.
Yeah, it's up and down. It comes and goes, kind of with the wind, but it'll probably disappear in the spring when it gets back to the water season and out of the dirt and the leaves and stuff like that. So
yeah, hey, is that national? Is that national? No shave November. Is that national? Or just your department?
Yeah, it's becoming like a national thing over the last few years. Typically, we try to raise money for men's cancer research, specifically in the unfortunate part with my fire department is we've lost 3 guys very, very young to very rare men's only cancers.
Right.
Almost 100% job related. In fact, all 3 of them are on the National Honor Wall for fallen firefighters, unfortunately. So it's just a good way to have a silly mustache. And then I try to raise about $500 a year. We've done pretty good each year. So yeah, it's a fun thing for a good cause. So absolutely. That's really the part behind it. And I kind of do it on my own personal Facebook page, do a little fundraiser, and yeah, that's kind of it.
No, that's a pretty worthy cause. And we should get on that. We could do something like that, Doug, where we'll do no, don't shave your back for November, Doug. We'll all grow our back hair out.
Yeah.
Well, that's just a winter preparation. That's all that is.
Yeah.
Doug will start creeping over his shoulders. It looks like he's wearing a fox scarf.
I am rather swarthy for an Irishman.
The year-round sweater.
I've been known to clog a few pool filters in my time.
God.
Yeah, and so somebody said in the chat it's Movember as well. Yeah, there's a bunch of different slang names for it. No shave, Movember, all that kind of stuff. So
yeah, the reason why I asked is that my son, his police department's doing it too. Right.
Yeah, there you go. That's cool.
Oh, yeah. So it's a whole thing. We got to try to somehow join in on their fundraiser, Doug, for November. And
well, let's think about what we can do. I know I can grow a nice beard.
Yeah, Rich, can you grow? Oh, never mind.
Well, a nice beard, no. But I can grow a beard.
All right. Well, we'll all grow something. I don't know. We got to help out there. But listen, Matt, I want to get into some of your story because I got a lot of pictures I want to show. I want to hear about what you do. But if people aren't familiar with Matt Howell or the Gone Diggin empire that you built, let us know a little bit, man, how you got into the hobby and what it is you like to go out and try to find.
Okay, so let's go way back to when I was about 10 years old. I grew up in a place called Hanover County, Virginia. We had 2 really, really pivotal battles in the American Civil War right here in my county, which is the battle of one of the 7 days battles of Gaines Mill, where the Federal Army took a rather stern approach from Hood's Texans and Lee during the 7 days battle. And that's 1862. Fast forward 2 more years later to what would be the one action that Grant refused to be happy about, and he always regretted, and that was the morning charge of June 3rd of 1864, which is the Battle of Cold Harbor. So for total troop involvement of just about 200,000 troops, And for perspective, currently that reside in my county right now, there's only about 130 to 140,000 citizens who actually live here. So you can imagine about 60,000 more people, all in about a 7-mile stretch during the Battle of Cold Harbor. So when I was growing up, I saw these guys with these metal detectors called Nautiluses, and Nautiluses had these big gray boxes and big white search coils, and they were made by this guy named Jerry Tyndall in North Carolina. Jerry was a very shrewd businessman because he knew how to make metal detectors, but more importantly, he knew how to withhold the technology of metal detectors. So he would release a version, and then a year or two later would go by, he would release the same version, but episode B or episode C. And people would have to get rid of their old ones. Well, all he was doing was simply tuning the machines up as each version he released. So these old machines were kind of the king of the relic fields here, and they started about 1960. The machines before that were Heath kits and even World War II mine detectors that came right across from Europe. And that all started right here in Hanover County where I live. So I would get off the school bus and I would watch these old guys walk around the fields and dig up things. Well, I never knew what they were doing. So like many things in my life that always stuck with me, I went through high school, never gave it much thought anymore, but I always have a love for history. I decided that college wasn't a thing that I was going to do. And I decided to move out west, and I lived in Yellowstone National Park for about 6 years. And that's what I consider my college years, is where I learned who I was and so to speak, how to be an adult. I don't know if I've really ever learned that since, but I like to think that I started my adult career there. But when I came home, I no longer had the hiking, the fishing, the backpacking at my disposal. Like when I could walk out the back door of my park and just go hiking or backpacking or fishing. So I was looking for something to do, and I thought metal detecting would be a really cool thing to do. I convinced my dad to help me split the cost of the money for a really nice machine at the time, which was the Minelab E-Track. Still, in my personal opinion, one of the best metal detectors ever made, other than the fact you couldn't adjust the recovery speed, right? It was set one recovery speed for all of them.
The coin guys still swear by that E-Track.
Man, it is a fantastic machine, really hammers on high conductive targets.
Yeah.
So I took my brand new E-Track out, put it together mostly backwards, which would end up kind of ruining the machine and gluing it all back together and doing all kinds of crazy stuff with it. But I took it out. I told my mom, I said, let's go to this farm down the street. Let's go metal detect here. I think that's a cool place. I'd done a little bit of research, and I really, I thought it was going to be good. Walked into the field, and what I didn't know is I walked right into the middle of about a mid-1700s period home site, and I dug 45 flat buttons the first 2 hours I was in the field.
Well, now being you're new, did you have the wherewithal to know that you needed permission, or did you just go out there and?
No, we had permission because we had always kind of cut the fields. My dad had cut hay when we were growing up.
You knew
there.
The owner.
What's that? Yeah, so we knew who owned it.
Okay.
And so I walked out in the field, but I had no clue that you just don't go do that.
Now, yeah, you're ruined when you start off like that early.
You know what? So I had no clue. Well, the other part I didn't know is I would stumble into two divided fields, and in one field was a Virginia camp and the other field was a North Carolina camp. This was part of McClellan's ride around, Stewart's ride around McClellan in 62, 63. And I found a Civil War camp. I had no idea what I was doing, and I just stumbled into this camp.
Yeah, you've got some, and I'm saying I don't want to disregard the chat, but you're getting some of the celebrities popping in for you, Matt. I do see Ken King, Adventures in Dirt is here, Adventure Archaeology, Brandon, both of who we've had on, Jersey Ray Diggs, 508 magnets. They're all coming out because I know you're going to have some good stories. And thank you, everyone, for showing up. Yeah, I mean, to cut your teeth in this hobby where you live, where you have access to, the earliest American history, a boatload of Civil War history, you are really in the prime area for someone new to this hobby. And then to start off on fire like that, you're almost hooked for life. There's no walking away.
Yeah, at that point in time, there wasn't. But, I quickly got the gut check of, hey, this isn't reality. I mean, the nose from the door knocking, there are parts of the greater Richmond area that have been metal detected for the better part of, I would say, 75, maybe even 80 years. So you're talking about guys literally coming home from World War II with bomb detectors or mine detectors, using two-hand mine detectors, and just going out and looking for things. Now, in those days, guys didn't look for buttons. They only wanted to find Civil War belt buckles or accoutrement plates.
And back then, I don't even know if we had laws preventing them from going on to walking right onto a battlefield.
They didn't. And in fact, prior to the U.S. Antiquities Act, which I think was 1974, the park rangers in the Richmond battlefields would tell you, hey, go over there. I saw some guy finding.
They'd help you.
Yeah, they would help you.
Wow. How times have changed.
Yeah.
How times have changed.
Now, Matt, these like the battlefield of Cold Harbor, is that strictly national park or state park, or is it on some private land?
Yeah, so it's changed a lot over the years as the park system has developed, as you can imagine. Cold Harbor is the only battlefield within the Richmond battlefield unit that has not 24, but a manned visitor center because it gets so much traffic. But the park has shifted, and now we have the American Battlefield Trust, who, like around me, they're buying every piece of property they can get.
Wow.
One of my favorite places I've ever metal detected on was called Adams Farm. And Adams Farm sits right in the crossroads of the Battle of Gaines Mill and the Battle of Cold Harbor. So it's really an amazing place. And they just purchased all 400 acres. So I was really sad to see that disappear. While I respect the preservation, I also know that place specifically has been metal detected for better part of 50 years. And it's kind of difficult to say, what's left in the ground, but I know that there's still a lot, and it's kind of hard to think about it just kind of rotting there.
Yeah. That part's tough. I mean, one of the things I noticed, Matt, and I don't know if you do it in your area, I know, it was big up in the Culpeper area, was detectorists would dig what I think you call huts, right? Or something like that. If someone's new to this, can you explain what goes into that? Because that is so different than anything we do up north.
So for us, you have the winter camps. So you had so many troops that had to have somewhere to sleep during the winter. They really didn't fight during the American Civil War during the winter. It was inhospitable. The roads were muddy. It was hard to move troops, hard to get food. So they really didn't fight during the winter. And so they had to have somewhere to sleep. So early war, they would dig what's called a hut. They would dig a big hole in the ground. The early war huts can be 3 to 4 foot deep. And then they would stack logs and they would put their tents on top of it. Well, as the war progressed, they realized that led to a lot of sickness. One of my favorite books is called Huts and History. And it's about the excavation of a single Civil War soldier's living quarters and the information it can give. But the huts are where the soldiers actually slept, where they kept their personal belongings. Some of them were really trashy. Some of them, like some of the officers, were really clean. So it's a really cool thing to actually excavate a feature where a soldier lived.
So it's essentially almost like a mini basement that for you to try to find one of these huts, are you listening for a signal or using like a privy rod? Because once you started, I mean, I've seen you dig some even up in Pound the Ground. You were starting to dig one. It's a commitment. I mean, and for you to dig down 5 feet, you want to kind of know that is a hut location. How do you?
Yeah, so it's funny. The feature I found at Pound the Ground was actually a corner of a foundation of a building.
But you were digging it out like I envision huts, like you were going down and then opening it up, like you were investing a lot of time in that. And that's what I see the guys do in Virginia. I mean, it's not like us where you dig a shovel, you pull it out, you flip it back, and you move on. Like you're there a whole day digging this hut out.
Yeah, it's really an investment in knowing that you may not physically find a lot, but the feature itself is an artifact. Sure. And I tell the guys that dig with me, like, you have to remember that even if we don't find anything within this feature, it itself is a privilege, one, to be able to find one and dig one, but two, itself is an artifact. So it does make sense to excavate it completely fully, all the way to the corners, open it up, expose it so you can actually understand where the soldier's firebox is. Because it was basically, they would stack the logs up, put their tents on top, and it was a mini cabin. If anybody types in winter quarters at Brandy Station on Google, you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. These little tents stuck in rows along these hillsides to try to protect themselves from the cold in the winter. So not only did they have that, so then they also had to have places to throw their garbage. And those are the other places that we really look for, is where they discard their bottles and things like that. Something like this. That is a ginger beer from the American Civil War. Probably English import, but could have been made here in the United States. Real funky and crude. This one has a big kind of glaze error, but they didn't really care. So they just,
is that bottle 2 different colors?
It is. So it's got a tan glaze up top and then a white clear glaze on the bottom.
Oh, so is it glass or like pottery?
It's stoneware.
Stoneware. Okay.
Yeah.
I gotcha.
So this is pretty common. These bottles survived really well. They're heavy. They were hard to break. But it's, it's interesting if you start really getting into huts and huts and Civil War trash pits and how soldiers lived and how they camped. There's a ton of different reasonings of why they did things. Like by 1864, the Sanitation Commission had laid out 292 questions that were to be evaluated prior to establishing a camp in the field.
Oh, wow.
So they really, by that period in time, had come very, very methodical to help prevent disease. So it's really cool to really, to get into any of that sort of stuff. But the trash pits are where you find the bottles, the cow bones, sure, the discarded uniforms.
Now, are they generally even deeper than the huts, or are they about the same size?
Yeah, typically they're much deeper. Sometimes we find what are called cooking pits, where they dug out a little bowl in the ground where they would put fire. They would have fire so they could cook or stay warm. In the cooking pits, you will sometimes find discarded bottles on the edges, but typically not. You won't find a lot of garbage related items. Because if you had, like, I found one in Brandy Station that was a beautiful cooking pit. It was rock lined all the way on the outside. The only thing in it was one bullet, and that's what got me all the way down there.
Oh, really?
And yeah, because you wouldn't have thrown garbage in a place where you're cooking.
Yeah, that's true. But I mean, would they have left any of the cooking utensils behind, or are they packing them up and?
Well, we would find utensils, 2-prong forks, long knives, spoon bowls, things like that around that area. So that's how we knew it was somewhere that they actually had probably a camp cook that was his job.
That's amazing. So, I mean, think about it, Doug. In my mind, I'm thinking about it. Like, let's say we had a farm where we were digging these huts and we got lucky and found one and we dig it down and we, find the surroundings of of his entire hut. And then when you come out of that hole and you're looking and you're thinking, well, there's 3,000 more of these in this field, like how do you even start that process? Like,
start digging.
Yeah, I mean, it seems so overwhelmingly, like, where do you even begin? Are you just listening for that one faint little signal with a GPX machine, and you're like, all right, guys, hunker in. We're going to be here for a week or whatever it is. Because I'm assuming you're sifting and you're really methodical, aren't you?
Yeah, we try to really understand the feature that you're in to be able to decipher it. Dig it to its fruition from start to finish. I've been in some. We have a camp that we were hunting, I guess in the spring of this year, that the huts are so big and they were so close together that you can't tell when you leave one and you move into another.
Oh, wow, they're that close.
So some of these features are like 24 inches deep, but they're 10 by 10.
Yeah, yeah.
So, I mean, you're really talking about moving a ton of dirt.
Yeah. And those guys had to do it in the winter time, Doug, when maybe it's freezing, the ground's frozen. Where are you putting all that dirt? Are you mounding up in front of you and having like essentially a berm? And then
a lot of times that's exactly what they do. They would mound up around the edges to make sure the water actually ran off and didn't go back into the
hole.
Into the hole, right? They would put what they were called gutters, where they would dig these little gutters around the inside. So if there did get water inside, it would all hold in the edges.
Hey, Matt. My great grandfather, he was at Harrison's Landing.
Yep.
And I have a photograph of him, and his hut is up off the ground pretty high.
Yeah, that would make sense. Some of those wetter areas, they may have built them up. They did tent pads, especially towards the end of the war, where they realized it wasn't a good thing to be down in the cold ground like that. So they would build up these tents.
Because of it's close to the river there, they had them up off the ground, not so much down in.
Oh, yeah, maybe the bottom of your hut will start, the water will seep in from the groundwater. So maybe.
Hey, Charlie, you ever come around, and I'll gladly show you all those places.
Well, he was at he did the 7-day battles, and Gaines Mill was one of them. Charles City Crossroad was another one. And Mechanicsville or something.
Mechanicsville?
Mechanics at that one too.
So Mechanicsville is where I live properly.
Oh, okay.
Yep. That's also known, Mechanicsville, also the Battle of Beaver Dam Creek.
Okay, yeah. So I actually was down there many years ago, took a tour of it. And every time I went to a park, I told him the regiment that he was in, and the thing that they would say to me, and he lived?
Yeah.
That's what they would say. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, so let me go back, Matt. I mean, so you're new to the hobby. You're watching these old guys do it. You jump in. You're digging these big pits now. Was there anything that you found really exciting early on that now, whatever it's been, 20 years later, you still have that same passion? Was there? Because I notice a lot of people I talk to, if they don't find anything within the first couple of outings, it kind of goes in the closet. They don't think about it again. Usually the people that stick with it had a really good experience early, and they're always chasing that feeling again.
I think it's the same. It's always across the board, the same kind of chasing that high, right? I don't know what else to call it.
Yeah.
But I think that, I was very, very fortunate when I first started to find the places that I did. I didn't get into the pit digging until probably, I guess maybe 2015, 2016. So I haven't been digging like pits like that for a very long time, but they always intrigued me. All the things that happened over the years are just, I don't know if they're coincidence or happenstance. I met some really great friends I met people that I dug with, and then life happens and we fell away from each other for one reason or another. So the friendships that I've built, and I think that's probably a really big part of why I continue to do what I do. Because it is fun. It is, I get to hang out with you guys or go to an event and say hi to, people I've never met before, but I feel like I know, or at least they feel like they know me.
It's definitely a tight community because it's untraditional. So the people that do this a lot, like us, we all kind of find each other because not everyone does this, at least not consistently like we do. If you go out more than 10 times a year, that's an obsession, and it's a good obsession, but we're all in that same boat. So we all kind of find each other.
Yeah, 100%. And I find that's the case with scuba diving. There's a lot of parallels between the metal detecting community and the scuba diving community.
Yeah, I wanted to,
and that's kind of how it is too. You go scuba diving more than once a year, you're considered like an experienced diver.
Yeah. Now, did you scuba dive before you got into metal detecting, or did you want to add that to your treasure hunting? Like, how did that timeline come about?
So that worked like any other I feel like I've moved more towards a treasure hunter, and my treasure hunting now isn't so much the things I find in the ground. It's the stories that I'm hunting for.
Yeah.
The stories of the objects or the stories of the people, or now I've gotten really big into trying to produce more high quality things about the people in our community that don't even have me in them. But it happened in a natural progression, like anybody, I think, that I was out metal detecting one day and I got to the edge to a creek. And I was like, well, the relics don't stop here because there's water there. So I stepped into the creek and I dug a spur. In fact, first spur I ever found, it's sitting in this case over here behind me. I was like, oh, that's cool. So I walked up and down the creek. And then the next day it was like 150 degrees outside. So I was like, well, let's go back in that creek. That was fun. And then I was like, well, if it's in the creek, let's go try, a body of water. And I got up to about this deep. And I was like, well, just because it's this deep doesn't mean the relics stop here. So I was like, what's the next thing? So I've got to start scuba diving. And I went out and got myself some gear. I did it completely not the way you're supposed to do it. I had over 100 dives uncertified. People would lose their mind if they ever heard that somebody did that. But the kind of diving that I do, it paralleled paralleled my job and firefighting, because when I dive, you don't need to see anything. You just close your eyes and go. Or we have lights, and lights help in certain scenarios, but for the most part, we dive what's considered dark water or limited visibility diving. And especially when we're looking for these things right here.
Oh, yeah.
Megalodon.
So, yeah, that's a megalodon shark's tooth. That's a Virginia red tooth. It's kind of clean, kind of dirty still, but that's a 5-inch tooth. And, when you're down searching for those, you need a little bit of light to find them. But
I got a couple pictures, Matt, because that was some of my most. I'm going to bring these up a larger screen here. These are just a few of them that I saw on your Facebook page. Look at what creature is this thing from?
So that is it's called a Chubentensis, Megalodon Chubentensis, but it's the grandfather of the Megalodon.
Oh, even older.
Yeah, that one's about 15 million years old.
Oh my goodness. Oh, I think I have a couple here, Doug. I don't want to go too far because I tried to pick out unique ones. Like this one looks totally different to me.
Yeah, so it is. That is a Benedini shark's tooth. And that's a completely different species, but still in the mega shark category.
It almost looks like a velociraptor claw, Doug. I mean, it's like it's narrow and hooked, and what's amazing is that I'm not any sort of a shark guru by any means, but I know that sharks will lose teeth and grow them back their entire lives. So like your average shark, even millions of years ago, I don't know, maybe go through 1,000 teeth in their life. I'm just throwing out a made up number. And they
so they say a adult shark will like lose like maybe 100,000 teeth in its lifetime.
Oh, that many?
Wow.
Yeah. It's so the shark's tooth is the most collected fossil in the world.
For sure. We look for them, and when we go to the beach up here in Atlantic City, we find them. But I mean, ours are tiny little. I don't even know what they're from. Sand sharks or whatever.
Sand sharks don't have teeth.
Well, whatever shark has teeth.
Huskies.
There's all kinds, and you're probably finding fossilized teeth. You're not.
They're black. Teeth. They're old. I just don't. They're not the massive size. Like look at this sucker here, Doug.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one's a pretty good one.
Hand. It's his whole hand.
Yeah, and that's about as large as that variety of shark gets. They'll get a little bit bigger. That's again another tubentensis, but that thing is, I mean, the quality as well. Unfortunately, I have had to part ways with a few of my teeth to either pay the bills or fund an expedition.
What's a tooth like that valued at, Matt?
That tooth probably about $600 to $800.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now, do you find these on the James River, or
we find them? There's a pretty distinct tributary system that you can follow, and there's the fault line, and you can pretty much find them all the way up and down the East Coast from Maryland all the way to Florida along the fall line in any river.
Now, did they, just like your theory of the relics don't stop here and you kept going, do I have a chance to find a tooth like this in the waters of New Jersey, or is it a definitive line of where the water stops being warm and I won't have it?
So there's a couple references that I use to help me locate where fossils are. And those references give you every known sampling. I think New Jersey has what's Cretaceous period sharks.
Okay. So even though they were in the same physical body of water, the Atlantic Ocean, there was probably a demarcation line where the warm water went into cold water and they just didn't go that far north anymore. Is that the rationale?
I don't know the exact paleontology part of it.
Okay, that's fair. I would
back
think
then,
that through currents and water movement, that in theory, in my mind, whatever's found in Virginia could potentially be found in other areas, but it seems like it might not be the case. Not that I live in the world of shark tooth hunting, but
well, like we dive in, some of these teeth you have seen are from South Carolina. We dive for fossils there as well.
Let me remove
specifically South Carolina, because so much of South Carolina, when there were no ice caps, were shallow inland seas. So that's a different kind of shark that was there at that period in time.
Now, do these wash up on the shores, or are you diving for these?
So it depends on really, like one of the most famous places in the world to find shark's teeth is in Maryland, along the Calvert area, Calvert Cliffs as it's known. And it really depends. Like those teeth, they are in a deposit layer that is right at the beach line. So literally they will just be kind of falling out of the sand.
Wow.
Other places, they'll be in cliff heights that are 20, 30, 40, 50 feet above the water. You know, we found deposit layers that are underwater by 30 feet. So there's all this geology, and I don't claim to really be good at any of it. I just have enough knowledge to understand pretty much the absolute basics. You know, like metal detecting, the fossil stuff, you can go way in. The sky's the limit on that stuff.
For sure. Now, in my very limited knowledge of water hunting, I see a lot of guys that'll find really old coins in the ocean, and they're covered in like crust and look nasty. You know, you wouldn't even know it's a coin if you don't know what you're looking at until you can clean it up. when you find a fossil like this, a big shark's tooth, are you kind of finding it almost in this condition, or is this after you've cleaned it?
So like this is a good example.
Well, now he's got two of them because he just broke it.
Yeah. So this tooth right here.
Oh, let me bring you up here a larger, Matt. Hold on. There he is.
Let's see. So this tooth right here is extremely clean because the way it came out directly out of the layer. So it's got this beautiful blue color. And here's actually a really cool feature about this tooth. So it's got a little chip missing there.
Yeah.
That's when you just dropped it.
It's because it had to eat. So that was the top tooth coming down and striking him.
Oh, he broke it while he was alive.
Right. So it's called feeding damage because sharks had to eat. But that's kind of cool. Collectors, like it or don't like it.
Can you tell if it's an upper or lower tooth?
By the position, by the width, the size. And then when they get to the back of the mouth, they get real wide, but real squatty. So you can know that it's a posterior position tooth versus
like a molar.
A single front tooth.
Now, is the megalodon tooth like the most valuable of shark's teeth, or are there other like more rare breeds that bring in even more money?
So there are. So we sold a tooth last year that was about this size, just over 2 inches, and we sold it for $1,350.
Wow, it must be a rare species, I guess.
Extremely rare. It's a giant serrated thresher, but it's it was kind of hard. How do you keep a $1,300 shark's tooth sitting around your house?
Right.
I guess it's like anything else that I have of any value sitting around in my house, but somebody wanted it more than we could hold on to it. So
now, who do you have a guy or a reference book, or do you have like shark tooth knowledge, or are you just finding shark's teeth and then you're got to be like, hey Bob, what do I got here? Because
kind of for me, it was like the metal detecting part, right? Let's go. Like I looked on the bottom, I was out diving, and I was like, "Oh, there's shark's teeth here." Yeah. So I started picking them up, and I was like, "Well, what kind of shark's tooth is it?"
What is it? Yeah.
Right, or what is that? So then I just wanted to learn more.
And, yeah. You dive down that whole world.
Yeah. So it's like these little rabbit holes you go down.
No,
I think that's like everything, whether it's Spanish silver or
I guess I guess in my mind, like coins only have so much of a distance. Maybe 2,000 years, if you're lucky, you can get back that far. But fossilized shark teeth, you're talking about 300 million years. I mean, how many different sharks in, hundreds of millions of years?
Well, I mean, I think about like a lot of different things, and maybe I'm a weirdo for it, but like, why don't we find British gold coins in the United States?
Yeah, true.
And then, like, what's the rabbit hole of that? And, why Spanish currency was legal tender until 1851. And like, I get into like really in depth to the history of it. I don't do a good job of sharing that kind of stuff of my brain and my videos, but I'm always thinking about that kind of stuff.
No, I do too. It's just so fascinating. And I love looking for the shark teeth, and I only do it very casually with my wife when we go to the beach once or twice a year. But I don't know, to be able to even have the availability to find ones that are so large and just all inspiring to look at. I don't know. Like to me, I might never pick up a detector again and do that full time. I find that incredible, Doug. And I don't know, it's just so rewarding because everyone can look at that and know what it is exactly once you tell them. You don't have to explain it. They almost instantly get it.
Right. There's that connection of a little kid, right?
Absolutely.
It's why the first time you ever watched Jaws or, you watched kids, even little kids like Finding Nemo. They know the great whites in the movie and the sharks and stuff. So, yeah, it is. It's definitely a personal connection that's much easier. We dive a lot. Like this tooth came off of the coast of North Carolina in about 100 feet of water in a place called the Meg Ledge.
Now, are those shark teeth now, because they're fossils, and forgive my ignorance, are they considered a rock at this point? Like they've went through a chemical change and now they're a rock? Lynn, do you know?
You mean like petrified wood or?
Well, I'm just like a bone that sat under the earth for millions of years and changes to a fossil. Is a fossil now more of a rock than an organic piece of material?
It could be. I use fossilized stegodon bone beads in my jewelry, and they are stones now, and they were bones at one time. So
yeah, so they couldn't get DNA off of a millions of year old shark tooth. I guess at this point it's just a rock.
They're probably completely inorganic now. They're probably inorganic, right, Matt?
Yeah. Well, and so fossilized shark's teeth have even a different category of fossil outside of fossilized bones, like a T-Rex or something like that.
Oh, they're different.
Yeah. So, and I don't know again,
That's
like
fair,
why
that's
they're
fair.
classified differently or whose deal that is, but it's definitely interesting.
I'm really fascinated by it. I love things that are in our wheelhouse, but yet different. And this is one of them. Doug, one day we should have a college professor of like this. We'll ask him to come on because I would love to know. It's so fascinating, and it's just above my pay grade.
Charlie was
I'm with you. I love the experience. And, for like my buddy Brad, that's all he wants to do. I'm like, let's go look for, whatever. And he's like, can we just go find shark's teeth?
Well, you could do them at the same time, which is nice.
Sometimes we have the spots like that, right?
Yeah.
Like we can go and look for both. So, I appreciate it. And then like you'll be going along looking for a new spot, and all of a sudden one will just pop up out of nowhere, and you're like, oh, I recognize that.
Now it leads me into an interesting segue, Brad. And Lynn, I want you to pay attention because, in Brad's water hunting for the shark teeth, he also finds, other things. You can find anything in the water. You drop something in the water, it's not like on land where someone might bend down and pick it up. You drop it in the water, it's gone for that person. But he finds some really cool things. This one I'm going to bring up, Brad. Oh my goodness. I'm sorry. I'm just in awe. Explain the story behind this, and Lynn, hold on to your seat. This is amazing.
I'm holding on.
Look at that.
Oh.
Look at that. Not only is it a super old complete onion bottle, but it's totally covered in barnacles.
Oh.
That is fascinating. Matt, what is the story behind this?
Oh.
So,
wow.
It's colonial period trade, and I look for a lot of. This has really become my passion. It took me almost 4 years to find one intact colonial period bottle.
Look at that,
and
Lynn.
since then, I think you can tell I may have figured it out a little bit.
This picture of these onion bottles with the barnacles, Matt. Oh my goodness, my jaw hit the floor. I was in love. I gotta ask you.
What?
Hold on, let me.
Sorry,
I'm trying to hang it up.
So Matt, when you get, let me bring it back in again so I can shove it on the side. When you find these covered in the barnacles, now they're to me, I think I'd pay even more to have those barnacles on there.
That's
but beautiful. In the bottle world, do you clean those barnacles off to have a pristine onion bottle, or do you leave them on because it just gives it that wow factor that it's sat in the ocean for hundreds of years?
So I am a believer in all things that I find, and this is kind of my thing, is that we're simply stewards of the history that we find. And I hope that I am a footnote in the object's story. So I personally don't remove them. If you go back to that bigger picture,
Sure.
They're the first onion bottle I ever found. The second from the left one, I did clean the barnacle.
I was going to say, it looked like you did clean off that one, and then maybe you realized and stopped from that point.
And then I left every bottle I've ever found after that. I've left the barnacles on because that is truly part of its story, right?
Oh, to me, that gives it so much more character.
Yeah.
I would think it's more valuable because I equate it to like the patina of an old coin. Like that's a natural reoccurring thing that people would pay money for. And for us to wipe it off and just make it, a run of the mill bottle, I would think it would hurt the value, but I'm not a bottle guy, so I don't know.
So the interesting part with this photo that you see here is you see quite an evolution of bottles here. So the middle bottle is actually the oldest.
I'm going to make it full screen so I can just see a little bit bigger, but I didn't mean to interrupt you.
And the in the middle is that bottle. So the first form of the English blown black glass bottle or English glass making was called a shaft and globe. It was a big ball and a long skinny neck and a big fat rim. That was called a shaft and globe. Well, they realized those were really crappy to move around the world on a ship. So they started to transition these bottles into this form that you see in here. So the bottle in the middle is this transitional onion bottle, and it dates about 1680, maybe 1700. So your next oldest bottle are the two just to the right and left of that one. That is the clean bottle on the left. It's called a pancake onion, and the onion on the right-hand side. Now, the onion on the right-hand side is missing the top. And we're like, well, that bottle is damaged. It is, but the question is, how would you open a bottle in the early 1600s if you didn't have a corkscrew?
Yeah.
Oh, they broke the bottle, you're saying?
Great.
Yeah. So how's Charlie going to open a bottle? He's going to reach in his side. He's going to grab a saber and he's going to go whop and just knock the top off of it. So that bottle, though it's missing the top, was more than likely opened that way.
Okay.
Wow.
So the bottles on the complete outside are known as mallet bottles. So those go about 1720 all the way to the 1760s. And then the form changes again into what's called a cylinder. And then you go from a cylinder into a blown mold and the whole progression of bottle and glass making.
Oh.
Now, did you find all those that we just saw in the same wreck? Or
Very close proximity.
yeah.
I just think it's fascinating. I mean, with those barnacles, I mean, it just looks like pirate era, like old world. I don't know.
Bring it over.
It's like a museum piece. I mean, are they often found with barnacles, or is that super unique to, you got lucky that day, or is that more common than
I would say they're common to find them with barnacles, especially like you look at the guys who are diving the shipwrecks in Florida. Those are,
I'm not gonna
they're clearly they're very much in the ocean. Now, the varying degrees of barnacles for the stuff that I find, from perfectly clean to just that. So, and you can, I would be on it. I mean, some of the colonial sites that you guys are digging, I mean, you should be in that era of glassware.
We find pieces.
We find a lot of pieces, but now maybe if we dug much deeper, like a hut, we might find pits and privies.
You guys shouldn't be finding huts, but what you should be finding are called mittens. And mittens aren't things you put in your gloves, or middens, really. And they're the trash receptacles of the colonial period. Big bowl-shaped items where they would throw all of their broken glass, pipes, broken china, food, whatever, and occasionally whole bottles in there.
What are the signs to look for when finding one of those areas?
Deep iron. The biggest, deepest iron signals you can dig will typically get you into a colonial period refuse area. So that's what I always look for. It's one of my favorite things to find. Very rarely do you ever find anything whole, but it tells you the history and the story of the site. There's no better telling of how someone lived than what they threw away. If they were wealthy, they typically threw away more broken glassware, more glass stemware, more interesting things like that than if they were poor, where you may find, maybe a grubbing hoe or something that got you in there and a handful of pipes, but it's going to be mostly like, occasional black glass bottles and things like that.
Do you know? I mean, I've researched privies a lot because I'm also very into bottles and everything else too. But with these middens, where, in relation to the house, where would they often be?
So typically like privies. So if you have a house site, I like to think about prevailing winds and the availability of water, especially looking for a privy, right? You wouldn't want to put your privy close to your well, and you wouldn't want to have been able to smell it every day in the summertime.
Yeah.
So if you can figure out kind of the average prevailing winds where it would, blow the smell away, that's typically where you're going to find your middens or your privies at. A lot of people talk about privies and they think that there's a lot of glassware and privies, but I would challenge you to think about the country aspect of how most of the United States was during the colonial period. Why, unless you lived in Baltimore, Philadelphia, Richmond, Boston, you weren't confined to where you threw your garbage away. So why would you throw your garbage in a hole that you had to redig?
Right.
And typically you wouldn't have. So you would have dug these shallow trash pits where you could go out in the middle of the field, dig yourself a trash pit, throw the week or the month's trash in there, cover it up, and dig you another one.
Yeah, I feel like our whole yard is one of those because, I mean, we find the black glass, mostly redware here.
Yeah, Lynn's house is like 1740 or so.
Yeah.
And we find, even after a rain, like a little bit of dirt will erode away and clay pipes will pop up from the ground, black glass. It's just a matter of,
there's got to be one
how
here
deep
somewhere.
should you dig for those things? And that's what's one of my concerns is, every week we're in a stranger's yard and, digging a 5-inch plug and filling it in isn't too obstructive, but to dig a 3-foot deep hole that's 4 feet wide, it gets a little trickier.
And it does. It takes the special landowner, right? And it takes some being strategic about it once you know that you have one, to really to explain to a landowner, like I have boxes and things that I give to landowners all the time because, again, I believe that we are the stewards of the items we found. It's not only inappropriate for me to remove the items, but not to give something back that tells the story of that house or that period or that place. I typically try to draw maps for people where I found concentrations of items and help tell them the story of their home that they may not see that's hidden. So if you build that relationship with a landowner, you would be surprised at stuff you can actually dig in their yards.
Yeah, I can think of several places that we've gone back to, multiple times. And with each trip, you develop more of a relationship that I know we can, a bunch of them, if we said, hey, can we dig a 4-foot hole? They'd probably let us. It's just, I guess when we bounce around so much, those people, the one and done, would be difficult on day one. But you build the relation. And thank you, mainly Dirt Fishing. I don't want to forget about you. Big fan of yours, Matt, and said hello to the whole crew. Thank you, buddy.
Hey, Matt, we were at an event, Come Out Swinging event a few years ago, and a group of guys actually found an area like a bottle dump or a privy or whatever, and they really pulled some nice stuff out of that. Remember that, Jason? Were you there?
Yeah, the guy pulled out a bottle. Rich, you know what it's called. You were there. And as soon as he pulled it out, someone watching him said, hey, I'll give you $800. And it went from out of the ground right to that guy's hand, sold right there on the spot.
Wasn't that a pine tree cordial or?
It wasn't a pine tree. It was a bitter.
There was actually
it was a bitter.
Yeah,
it was
a rare bitters.
Something.
Yeah.
There was 2 of them dug out, and the homeowner came out, and everybody, they were a little concerned because the hole got bigger and bigger, deeper and deeper.
Yeah, and
And-
they got horses that ran around, and
Yeah.
they were worried, are you guys going to fill in this 5 foot deep hole before
But
you
he
leave?
was okay with it.
Yeah, he was good. He was good.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the that's the part of garnering the respect of the landowner, the and doing all of those things, sharing that love for history. I've been pretty lucky. I've dug some really awesome colonial pits in my time. I feel like I'm pretty privileged. I have one that is, absolutely monstrous. We've dug it twice. Each section has been 10 foot by 10 foot square and 4 feet deep. And we know it's easily, the next section was that. So we've got about a 20 by 20 square about that we've dug. And we know it's equally as big as that still left.
What's the most interesting thing you found in one of these pits that would be considered unexpected?
One of the pits we found a really cool English watch winder where it had the little turn, mid 1700s. The pit that I was talking about specifically, we know from dating the pipes, using the pipe stems, the inside diameter. We know that pit was used almost extensively from 1750 to 1780. There were no pipes older, no pipes newer.
Oh, that's cool.
And right in the middle of part of that pit, we found a bale seal that had a gentleman's name, and it said Paris 1777.
Oh, so you had a beautiful 30-year time capsule range where you knew everything you found was going to fall into that zone.
Yep. Everything was from that time period. There was nothing newer. There was nothing older. It was so cool to exactly like you said, open up a time capsule.
Yeah, that is really cool. It's something. I mean, there's so many things I would love to do, Doug and Charlie. It's there's so much treasure hunting, and treasure hunting is in your mind. It doesn't necessarily have to even mean that it's monetarily valuable, but it's just a treasure that I just appreciate things that haven't been touched in hundreds of years, things that their trash is our treasure kind of a mindset. And I just love the people that appreciate it and bring these things up from the depth. And I just get so much enjoyment from it. If you had to choose, Matt, one detecting method or treasure hunting method that you were only allowed to do one, the diving, the pit digging, the detecting, the farm field, shark tooth hunting, if you can only do one, what's your favorite?
Gosh, that's hard. It's so hard.
I know.
Ken said, "Did I miss the ID tag story?"
Now, you want to tell the story? I'll let you think about the question.
Jason, you forgot shopping at Walmart's one of them.
Does he shop at Walmart? The last time I went to Walmart with Matt, he came out with like a head to toe Bigfoot outfit on with the footies and everything.
Huge eagle costume, and I think I wore it around the field the next day.
I'll never forget that, Matt.
No,
Sorry.
I remember.
Sorry for
It was like 1 o'clock in the morning too.
There may have been a handful of margaritas involved.
There was a couple of margaritas in there, but
I had to throw that in there.
That was before COVID when Walmart was open 24/7.
Yeah, so the ID tag story. Me and a group of guys, we go to a place called Diggin in Virginia. It's an organized metal detecting event held in Culpeper County, which is, aside from a couple other places in the United States, really one of the homes for this Army of the Potomac for the winters of 1863 and 64. So you have about 100,000+ troops camping over 2 years, 2 winter period, almost a total duration of about a year. They're very well equipped at that point in time. They had supply routes down, but me and my buddies, we were up on this hill, and it's called the bean field because originally it was a bean field when the first organized metal detecting went in there. And it's really, really cool because there's written accounts of soldiers talking about being in the bean field, specifically Union soldiers, and taking over the winter quarters from the Confederates after they dislodged them from a slight skirmish. And the Confederates moved on, and they went and they cleaned their huts out, and they went and lived there for the next 2 years. Well, my buddy Ross, he got a signal on his GPX. And for folks who don't know, the MineLab GPX is actually a discontinued machine, but it is a pulse induction machine, and one of the few pulse induction machines that has any sort of discrimination. While very rudimentary, it does work. And the more you use it, the more you can learn how to dig through the nails. And all these huts were pinned together with hand-cut nails to put everything together. Well, Ross found a barrel band. Well, the chimneys, they used barrels for the chimneys. And he said, look how shallow this is. He said, you think I should dig this? I was like, Ross, that is a hut. We have got to dig this out. So we start digging, and the very first thing that comes out is this flask. It's a beautiful olive green open panel, meaning it was blown in about the 1850s, but still used into the Civil War. And it was called the sheaf of wheat. So it's got like a bound piece of wheat, like a bundle of wheat on one side. And it's for the Westerford Glass Company in Connecticut. And we're like losing our minds. This beautiful flask sat no more than about 4 inches in the ground. And you couldn't believe that thing survived a plow.
Wow.
So we're all hooping and hollering. And my buddy Jamie, we're finding relics. We're finding Sharps bullets. And my buddy Jamie gets to a ration can. Ration cans were food stores in the Civil War, and they were made out of tin, and the soldiers would, cut the tops off of them. What was in the corner in ration cans now disintegrate. If you went to try to get one out whole, they just explode. There's nothing left of them. He sticks his digging knife, on the back side of the ration can and scrapes on the bottom, and this coin comes out, and it goes.
Oh, like one of those gumball things.
Like you dropped a quarter on the floor in school, and it just goes like this and lays flat. And I reached down, and somebody goes, "That's a large cent." And I picked it up, and I wiped it off, and there's a bust of George Washington on it. And it said, "This isn't a large cent." Yeah. And we rolled it over and turned it over, and it was an ID tag. ID tags were made by sutlers. The soldier would have his name and where he fought on it, or his hometown, his company, his ID, so that if he was to be killed in battle, they could at least ID his body.
Oh, like an early dog tag.
Yeah.
Yep, it was a dog tag. And so the ID tag was from William Quinn. He was in the Massachusetts Light Battery Company B. He fought all over the Civil War, and he ended up he made it all the way out and died in the 1880s, I believe, 1890s maybe.
So this tag, you were able to read the soldier's name still?
Yep, because it was punched and stamped in there.
Oh, wow. So talk about a rabbit hole of diving into that guy's life.
So we found out where William Quinn fought. We know he fought in Fredericksburg. We know he lived we know the hut that he stayed in for the winter of 1863.
Wow.
At the Battle of Chancellorsville. Famously, there's a general there, Sedgwick, and Sedgwick has a famous last words. There were Confederate sharpshooters on the other side of the field, about 1,000 yards away, and he stood up, and one of the boys from William Quinn's company says, "General, get down there. They're sharpshooters," and his last words were, "They couldn't hit an elephant from that distance." Well, a bullet struck him in the head, and he died right there.
Wow, that's fate. Yeah, you don't say that out loud.
Yeah. So, unfortunately, famous for his last words.
Yeah. And the Titanic was unsinkable.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. So,
some things you don't say out loud, Doug.
Exactly.
That's
But-
amazing, though. I mean, that token to be able to, I mean, we always hope for anything that has a name on it. It's so hard to find something with a name on it. But man, when you do it, it really opens up the floodgates, especially because the Civil War soldier records are pretty good. You can really trace someone where they fought, where they went, but to know where he slept for the whole summer, that's like next level, such a personal item there.
Yeah, and it's such a personal connection to all the other things that were found. They no longer are nameless. They all have a name to
Everything.
who possibly owned them over the duration of time.
Do you remember when this guy died? Did he make it through the whole war, or did he pass?
He said he lived until 1880 or so.
I got a visitor.
Oh,
Oh.
what's your name?
There.
Hi.
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 Very.
Hi.
What's your name?
Tell me.
Adeline.
Adeline.
Oh.
Very nice to meet you.
Sweet
My name's
Adeline.
Jason Adeline.
So there's Mr. Charlie, Miss Linda, Rich, and Jason, and Dog Tag Doug. Look at his mustache. So
How old are you, Adeline?
Good.
you're good. Tell them how old you are.
How old are you?
I'm 5.5. I'm gonna turn 6 in November the 30th.
Oh, well, that was yesterday.
November 30th.
Oh,
30th.
30th. That's
Yeah, we got a little bit of time, right?
You know what's really funny, Adeline? When I was 5 years old, I was your age.
That's silly. Well, you tell everyone night night.
Night, night.
It was very nice
Good
meeting you.
Night.
Kisses. All right, night night.
Bye.
Bye.
Man, Matt, she was a good-looking little girl there. Your wife must be the attractive one.
Very much so. She doesn't have a creepy mustache.
There we go. There we go. How many children do you have, Matt?
Just Adeline.
Just one? Well,
Yeah.
congratulations, man.
Thanks.
I
Adeline.
became a grandpop about 2 years ago, so it goes by quick. Enjoy the time while they're little.
I love it. That's what I was going to say is it's funny you were talking about finding old things and the treasures that we find and how we're treasure hunters. It's now the treasure that I have is that, right?
Absolutely.
We beach detect. We get to go metal detecting in the fields. In fact, I have one house site that's my favorite place. It's so sacred to me because it's just where me and Adeline go.
That's cool.
We find really cool things. I found some artillery things. We found seeded coins there. We found buttons. We typically don't find things though because we're finding flowers or bugs or worms or any of the things that don't come out of the ground.
But you know what though? I mean, it sounds kind of hokey, but the real treasure is 25 years from now, the memories that she's going to have spending this time with her dad, that is priceless, man. So spend that time, pick the flowers, look at worms, appreciate a ladybug, because those memories, as insignificant as it might seem, are the things that'll stick with her until, well after you're gone.
Yeah, that's kind of funny. Kind of, we talked about like why I started a YouTube channel. I don't know if we talked about it, but I worked for a short time. I worked in a metal detecting shop, and I had all these old guys who come in and tell me all these really awesome stories of finding this or finding that, but the constant was who they were with and the day and all the other things. It was never always about exactly what they found. And, I thought to myself, well, I hope that one day I'm old enough that I can't remember the days I had. Right. And I hope that if that happens, well, maybe I'll sit in that nursing home and I'll make the nurses play my old stupid videos from 30, 40 years ago. And, maybe in the end of all of it is that Adeline will have something to show her kids of this was your grandfather when he was young, or this is what they found, or, and whatever silly hold on to hope for, the future. So
it's like a scrapbook that we're leaving for our kids and grandkids to not only see us, but to feel our passion, to see what we did, to show our personality. And that's how I've done mine. And, not that any of us in my group here are like foul mouths or anything, but the number one criteria is I want it to always be clean and family friendly, because that's who I care about is going to see this in 30, 40 years, or my grandkids or great grandkids. And I want them to realize that we were all good, loving, respectable people. And this was our passion. And, trying to share it. By that time, everything might be covered in concrete, or we'll be living on Mars or something, Who knows?
That's right. So I don't know. It's
my grandkids will know it's me because they'll see me dancing after finding gold, right, Jason?
Every week they see that anymore. Not only dancing, his newest move, Matt, I don't even know what this move was, but on his newest piece of gold, this is what I see in the field from Charlie. He goes like this. What was that all about, Charlie? I guess it means like, you were like shooting the golden arrow. I didn't even know what it meant.
That's it.
I knew what it represented, but I wasn't sure what it meant.
You know what, guys? Maybe it's time for us to have a national museum. There's a national museum for everything. We should have one for detecting. National Museum of Metal Detecting.
We probably should.
Yeah.
There would, that would be interesting. I would love to set up something where people can see it. How you would coordinate that, I don't know. Like I have this weird thing where, like kind of like Matt was saying, where when I walk by my display cases and I see a button or I see a stirrup or something, my first thought when I look at it is instantly where I was, who I was with, like who was standing around and hooting and hollering with me. Like it's the flood of memories that make these things special to me. And that's why I do love to like put pieces around the house, because everyone is a reminder. And I like to think when I'm 110 years old and I'm totally senile, don't even remember my own name, you show me this piece and I'm going to remember 60 years ago that I was standing next to Doug and Rich and pulled, like I'm hopeful that those little pieces will always spark those memories for me. Maybe they won't.
Yeah,
they will. No, they absolutely will, Jason. They will.
When I think of, one of the real cool things I found, I sit down and I ponder, what shoebox did I put that in?
Where is that thing?
Yeah, where is that thing? Yeah.
So somebody in the comments earlier I laughed at said, this guy can find everything but his keys in the morning. And I was like,
well, that's the truth too.
He's got cameras in my house.
And I'm with Doug. Like I'm starting to get to the point where you some things I don't know where they are. I was looking for something to take a picture of this week, and I opened up my one display case to try to grab it. And behind it, I saw, I don't want to say what it is, but it was a really cool relic, big buckle from like probably the late 1800s. But I have no recollection of finding it, where it came from.
Really?
Like, I thought, how weird is that? Like, this is cool, but I have no idea where it came from, how it got in there.
Did I give it to you?
Maybe someone did give it to me, because I have no recollection of it.
I would argue that's the time you have to start writing down.
Well,
where you
I
found
should.
it.
Yeah, that's the first time I've ever seen something in my display cases, and I have no recollection.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Matt,
see,
do you drop a pin, Matt, where you found something and you can go back and look?
Especially in the water. Like, how do you remember in the water?
It's actually pretty crazy. I have I've started a couple different things, but like I started like actually keeping written logbooks.
Oh, wow.
Because I hope that, this is another thing. One of my friends, his name's Roland Frody. He made the most incredible artistic, like illustrations of huts and pits. And I thought, like, I'll never be that good, but maybe I can at least start doing that. And it kind of helps me like decipher the site a little bit. So I draw some site maps. I've started doing that, and I've started building kind of these diaries of days I went out and like the things I found and what it looked like, and kind of just trying to be a little more artistic and not so digital in the world.
Yeah.
And it doesn't always work, but I find it to be super relaxing.
I think there's a lot to be said about something that's tangible. From another guy who's a YouTuber like you, and I live in a digital world, I still like tangible things like that. I do not keep a diary or something like that, but hearing you talk about it kind of makes me want to start doing something like that, because having everything digital, it's a double-edged sword. And there's something about being able to sit on the toilet bowl, not need power, and be able to reminisce through a tangible book or piece of paper or something that doesn't need to be recharged in the morning.
Yeah, I really find that to be like the other part. Like, so this is what I call my relic room.
Sure.
In the background here. And I have all kinds of different things of my past, places I've been. But the biggest thing is, like, I started realizing, like, who has physical pictures anymore?
Yeah.
Nobody. So I started printing off physical pictures. So
is that Doug behind you? Is that one picture? Is that Doug?
This one right here, the progression of Doug.
Yeah, I think it's Doug, and I see him back there.
But places we hunted, farms, some stuff of my youth, and then different pictures of when I found stuff. So it's I really, really like doing that. And it helps keep some of the relics out of my house. People come over, like friends that, most everybody knows that I look for treasure. But in the end, it is, they come over and they're like looking. I've had people just not talk to me and just like stare at one of my cabinets, like the cabinet you saw with all the bottles in it. And they just stand there and stare. And they're like, I'm like, you want to hang out? You want to go do something? Like,
yeah, it's so interesting, not even the people that don't know, even people like me who do this. If I went over, I would be, so enamored by your display cases, because it's just so interesting. It's something that people very rarely see unless they go to a museum, and to see them in your friend, your neighbor's house, it's just so, it just takes something that's so abstract of like, oh, the Civil War, and maybe you heard about General Lee, to then being able to physically touch something that was in that era. It's, and especially like taking your daughter out, it makes learning history so much better when you're holding it and doing it and making that connection than just reading about it or hearing the stories. I find it fascinating. And I would imagine most of the people that see your stuff, the jaw drops and they want to instantly talk about it and ask questions. But that's great. You're making that connection to someone else. You're sharing that knowledge.
Right. Yeah.
Matt, are you into, by any chance, I noticed that after the war, Civil War, there was a lot of books that were written about the Civil War, the first edition books printed right after. Were you into maybe purchasing anything like that when it comes up for auction, or do you have a collection of old books about the Civil War that were printed after the war?
So most of my library, I have a pretty significant library, but when it comes to what I have is, again, because I think that the internet is great, but it doesn't do well for certain things, and that's ID. So I have lots of the original ID books from the original Civil War relic hunters, which also includes like Sears and Ward's catalogs for like horse equipment, because there was so much of a surplus of this stuff. They would sell it to civilians, and it was pure military stuff.
Right.
So it helps me ID things. But yeah, that's kind of, I mean, I do have a couple books. The one first edition that I have, it's a big, I think they're called lithograph printed books, and it's called, what is it called? The Confederate Soldier in the Civil War. And I have the first, second, and third edition printings of that book.
Oh, wow.
And it's really cool. It's big. I mean, it's huge. It's like, like this big.
Right.
So when you open it up, it's your whole lap. And Mine was owned by a general. His name was Pollard. He was a Confederate general in South Carolina. And I got it from his family. And it's an expensive book without that provenance. It's normally about a $1,500 book, but I got pretty lucky and I was given it as a gift.
That's a nice gift.
The reason why I asked is I'm fortunate enough that I have quite a few first edition books that were written after the war that were handed down to me. That my great grandfather, he must have been into reading about the war. He was in the war, but he has all these books that he had that I actually have in my possession now. So some of them are pretty cool.
Yeah, and that's really cool because like a lot of them are the first-hand accounts, right? Like
right. Yes, exactly.
Not like I was told about this person that did this. It was like, no, we stood here and we did this.
Yeah, some of the diaries, like in the Civil War Museum, even the one in Philly, which doesn't have not like they would down south.
That's huge.
They have those diaries and be able to hear the tales from the soldier's hand every day. It's amazing window into that world that they lived in. And a
lot of the ones that have maps in them too. Not the printed maps, but of the battles and stuff. It's kind of cool.
Yeah, it's funny. One of my coworkers, he's like, "Oh yeah, you love the Civil War, right?" He's like, "I'm going to bring in a copy of my great uncle's book," and I was like, "Really?" He's like, "Yeah." His great uncle was from Abington, Virginia. His name was C.W. Thomas, and he wrote a series of letters home. And you actually get a feeling of everything he was feeling. Right. One of the very first letters is he says, I made it to Richmond today, but I got on the train and went to Petersburg to have my likeness made. So the only photograph known of C.W. Thomas was taken in Petersburg, Virginia in 1861. But he writes a letter in Fredericksburg, December 9th of 62. And he says, but we're within 200 yards. The Yankees are across the river. Maybe this is December 7th. He said, the Yankees are across the river. Surely they won't fight here. Yeah. Then the next letter is December 9th, after the Battle of Fredericksburg or during the battle. And he's like, I was within 200 yards of the enemy. He said, I can't believe they crossed the river. Fredericksburg.
A lot of them died at Mary's Heights.
Right. They died in Mary's Heights. They died in the slaughter pen. Yeah. They died in the streets of Fredericksburg because it was the first urban combat ever fought in the United States. But he talks about how they're so foolish to have fought here. But then he writes another letter about Gettysburg. He was at Gettysburg and how he can feel the tide has turned as they retreat from Gettysburg. And he says, surely it won't be long to the end of this.
Oh, wow.
The most incredible thing about C.W. Thomas's letters were at the very end, he was writing all his letters to his wife. At the very end, he penned every single letter the same at the end. He said, I send my love, share some of my love with their friends and their family, but save the greatest portion of my love for yourself. Write soon, write often, C.W. Thomas.
Wow.
And every letter was penned that way. And I was like, man, why don't people sign off emails like that?
Yeah, a lot of good manners and are long gone.
Yeah, 100%.
They're long gone. But I do want to show. I have a couple of your coin pictures. Now we all find good coins, so I didn't grab a lot of them, but there was a couple that I thought were pretty noteworthy, Matt. I'll bring them up full screen here. Doug, you might kind of recognize that because you're the only one from our group that found one. Do you know what it is, Doug?
Well, is that an 8 real? Looks like
it sure is.
That one is an 8. That one was found by my buddy Frankie about 15 feet from me.
Was that water or land?
That is a land site.
Okay, it was a land site.
Yeah,
and there's a little picture.
You got a cut.
Yeah, the cut one. Now that looks like a cut piece of another 8 real.
That's probably a cut too.
I was going to
Uh,
say that. Looks like a two real cut.
There's another
Yeah.
picture you had. I just tried to grab some of them off his Facebook page.
cut 2 and
one real.
1. And I think
We've never found a cut real yet, at least not the proper kind.
Green version.
I know.
we typically I do find quite a few cut, especially if we're looking like tavern sites.
Yeah.
Not so much your house sites, anything of commerce, offices where they had large plantation homes here in the South. A lot of the money would have exchanged at the farm office, which may have not been in the main house. So you'll find a significant larger volume of coinage. Certainly in the water, anything that happened on a dock, if you dropped it in the water, it might as well have been like putting it on the moon. So
Yeah.
that's why the water coinage is so prevalent. And I imagine it's probably the same thing for you. It doesn't really matter if it was a creek or a stream too, kind of the same deal.
Makes me wonder, like for those cut coins, because we've never found one. Do you think how they did it, Doug or Lynn, was they would score the coin and then put it on the edge of a table and kind of, because they're always so perfect.
Yeah.
And I mean, imagine even now, Doug, with the tools you have in your garage, cutting a coin into a perfect triangle. That's a hard thing to do, especially
I would cut a finger off before I got the
you
coin.
would, or you'd have to plug something into the wall to do it. Like it's not. I don't even see saw marks. So I wonder, like, you think it was just score and whacked?
I think that you wouldn't really be able to get a perfect triangle like that with that method. I mean, it would take a long time. I think they use shears more than likely.
Yeah, but what kind of shear?
I think they use the clippers that clip straight down a lot.
Yeah.
Like
Like blacksmith nippers.
Yeah.
Nippers. Yeah.
Yeah, kind of. They use that, but that's where the term short change was.
Yeah.
Oh, did it stem from that?
Yeah, because so typically, if you find I find some weird shaped ones, and it's because they were shortchanging people. So if you had something that cost, 2 bits and you had 4 bits, of course, this is where a 2-bit lady of the evening would come from. They would clip them short, so they gave you a smaller piece than you really should have gotten.
Yeah, I wonder how often during everyday transactions they would weigh the coins to try to prevent that. Like if the common scale was more prevalent with everyday transactions, because it was so willy-nilly and eyeball-y and I don't know.
Yeah, you guys probably find a fair amount of trade scale weights, right?
We find some
We have
apothecary
found them.
weights from time to time and different things, and we don't find cut coins, but we find a lot of coins that were clipped, like maybe a little piece off the edge. But those are even U.S. Not a lot of cut reals. We usually find them whole.
Yeah.
But the North had more money too. I'm not to saying that South is poor, but maybe the South were more particular of their precise change, because we very rarely find cut coins up north. I mean, Doug, I don't know if any of us have ever found one. Do you, Doug?
No, I don't recall cut coin. No.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like Virginia, when we talked to our friends Kurt and start moving north, the coinage really changes, and that's really cool. The first 8. So I have never found. So that my buddy Frankie found that 8, but the only 8 real I found is a cut 8.
Oh, how much of it did you find?
Half.
Half of it.
Oh, wow.
I will grab that.
We've never found one. I got another one here. Let me see. While Matt's doing that. That's a nice one, Doug. You found almost that exact same coin, Doug.
Well, mine was Mexican.
No. You're the 2 real. I'm talking about the 2 real.
The 2 real. Yes.
This is the exact coin you found. Only yours was like almost mint condition. Charlie, you were there when Doug found it.
Yeah,
remember?
he found it at the end of the day. We were ready to leave.
In the same yard where I found the hand forged triangle padlock.
Yes.
Yes.
I'll have to see where I stuck that, but
Matt's
this
got
is- oh,
too
there
much
it is.
stuff.
It's hiding up in the corner. There you go. That's the only cut 8.
Let me see if I
Wow.
can make you large, Matt. Hold on. Let me see if I can.
Yeah, that's a really nice 2 real.
Oh yeah,
So-
yeah. Okay.
But yeah, I mean that's a big thick cut 8.
Yeah,
Um,
that's amazing. I mean, it's weird. It seems like the guys down south do find more cut coins. Now, whether it's just coincidence or whether there's something to it or not. Yeah. I mean, look at all that. I probably have 20 some reals in my collection, but they're all whole.
Yeah.
Yep.
So cut coins. This is one case of the Spanish that I've dug. In the old days when we could go in the water a lot into some of the newer places, the best day I've ever seen of pre 19 or pre Civil War and prehistory coinage. We found 26 silvers in one day.
Wow.
Yeah.
What's your oldest U.S. silver coin, Matt? Oldest U.S. silver?
That's a hard one. I think probably a capped bust.
Yeah, that's what ours are. I think James Inesco found a
Drake bust.
the Drake bust silver, which is
It was
super rare.
It was 1803.
Yeah, I don't have Drake bust. I've only ever found one cob. I've been in, I have like what I'd consider the white whales of things. I have been in fields and I've seen probably 15 cobs dug in front of me.
Wow.
All silver?
What's that?
All silver or some?
Yeah, I do actually. That's my oldest coin is I found, what's the Spanish? The Maravedis.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So I do have a hammered Maravedis that I found along a Colonial Road bed. And I think those things are crazy old, like mid 1600s.
Right.
Yeah.
I have seen guys find hammered Elizabeth coins here. Ultra rare as well. But yeah, I've seen pine tree. I've seen cut pine tree coins come out of the ground.
Yeah,
Wow.
Pine Tree is one of our bucket listers.
We're hoping this weekend we're
hoping we're all going up to New England for the weekend. We're hoping someone gets a tree shilling or a piece of one. We'll see.
Yeah, I would love to. I have a number of things that I'd love to find. I don't know why. I would love to find a solid CSA button.
Yeah.
I've seen a ton of those things come out in front of me. I bought a metal detector from a guy in Northern Virginia, and he's like, "Oh, the ground is really hot up here. You're going to need this machine." And I bought it, and we were kind of chatting, and he's like, "Well, I got this old construction site in my yard." And I looked at it, and I was like, "That's not a construction site, man. That's a stone chimney from a period house." And he's like, "No, it's not." I was like, "What'd you find around here?" He's like, I found a bunch of flat buttons around here." And I was like, "Well, let's go hunt it." So we went out there and started hunting. I started hunting with a pulse induction. Well, he had a power line. It was just driving me crazy. And I was like, I don't really think the ground is this hot here. And I had my XP Deus with me. So I turned it on and I dug a flat button and then a flat button and then a flat button. And I was like, holy crap, you don't need a pulse induction here. This is fantastic. And I was like, this is a great machine. You should try it. And I literally handed it to him and he goes, beep, beep, beep. He said, well, that sounds pretty good. And he flipped the plug and it was a Confederate button, CSA. Still had
his first thing ever was
in the back. And he was standing beside me with my machine.
Wow, that's a kick in the what though.
I'm just like,
oh my God.
You're always happy for people, but
you are.
Not that situation. You're not.
You're happy for him, but then you're hoping there's another one there.
Yeah. And
I'd have wrapped the pulse machine around him.
Yeah, he still messages me. He's a super nice guy, and it was super cool because it stayed at his house with him. But I was like, man, one day I'm going to find those buttons. My other buddy Jeff, he bought a machine from me because he works in the fire department. We hang out a lot. He's like, I got this place on the east end of Richmond, really trashy, kind of rough neighborhood. And he said, I keep finding these solid cast buttons. And I was like, dude, are you serious? He said, yeah, I got 2 of them today. And I wiped one of them off, CSA. The very next one,
wow.
CSA. He found 5 Confederate buttons in this trashy yard.
Wow. From the same article of clothing, I guess.
Probably the same coat, 100%. He had never dug a relic in his entire life, and he digs 5 of the one button I want to find.
So are you going with him to that site?
We hunted the heck out of that yard one day in the summertime. And then he went back and he found another one that I missed. And I'm like,
now are those brass or are they like a pewter?
They're brass.
Oh, they're brass.
They sound good.
Yeah, they sound good. So you think that you couldn't miss them, but there's so much garbage, like 9mm casings and clipped pieces of copper that you just had to dig so much. I just didn't put my coil over it.
Yeah, sometimes it happens, and bummer.
Are
there any coins, Matt, that are on your bucket list? Any coins within reason? Within reason. Like anything American that you haven't dug, within reason again, like anything that just eluded you that you're surprised by. Any of the early large cents, what I've never really dug that I feel like's always eluded me, and you guys find them all the time. The Colonial issue coppers.
Oh, geez.
I found Virginia half pennies, which were obviously they're from Virginia, but I've never found in New Jersey or Connecticut or
the state coppers. You mean? Yeah.
Any of the state coppers. I would love to find one of those. We find a handful of King George coins from time to time.
How about Liberty caps?
I found 2 Liberty caps this year, a 95 and a 98, maybe.
Oh, okay. The state coppers are fun, and
we find a lot of Liberty cap.
Yeah, Liberty caps we find a good of. The state coppers are nice because we seem to find a lot of Jersey coppers because we live in Jersey. But like the Vermont or the New York, man, those are huge bucket listers for us. They didn't make as many, and they're very, very rare, especially the New York one, super rare. I think, Lynn, someone found one in your yard, didn't they, Lynn, without a metal detector, a New York copper?
Yeah, my son-in-law.
Yeah, he was building a shed or something with a shovel, just moving dirt, saw a coin pop out.
Yep.
And it was a New York State copper, which are like, incredibly rare.
Wow.
Just eyeballed it.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
What we have to do is
here. We find the Connecticut here often.
Yeah, Connecticut's are more common than a lot of it. But I mean, Virginia half pennies, I think we've only found 2 or 3 combined in 10 years. So
I got 1.
Yeah, they're pretty rare up here. And the ones we have are all been pretty wiped, that I recall. Like there wasn't a ton of detail on them.
Yeah, they have a kind of crazy story. Like, they were minted in 1772, but they sat in New York or sat in England for 2 years.
Yeah,
and then they didn't get issued until 1775.
Yeah, I heard something like that, but they were all dated the same year, even though they weren't released for a year or something along those lines.
Yeah.
I think the 3 shillings have a similar story behind them, where they were all dated the same dates, even though they were released over a 10-year period or something.
Yeah.
I don't know offhand, but something like that.
I'm trying to think of any other things. Like, I've been lucky enough. I dug a $5 gold coin a number of years ago.
Cool. That's nice.
So I've been lucky enough to kind of scratch the bucket list gold coin itch off. However, I would love to find a Civil War period dollar.
What is that? I don't even know what that is.
A gold dollar, the princess head.
Oh, wow. So I didn't know they made it exclusively. Or is it just during that time?
During that period.
Like 61. I mean, they don't really, the most common are the 61s. But I would love to find a Civil War period gold dollar, whether it's
I'll have to
61,
look that up.
62, 3 or 64, 65.
I wouldn't even know what that looks like if we found one, Doug.
They're gold.
Oh, okay, good. I got it now. I
Yeah,
wrote it
gold
down.
dollar.
I think Teresa, treasure hunter, found a $1 down
Yeah.
in Louisiana.
I remember her finding a gold one. Is that the
$1
Princess head?
gold coin and Civil War period.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure. Maybe she can.
There's a camp by me that they camped in the rain, and they paid them, and there's one field they call the pay field, because I think like 30 or 40 gold dollars have been found in there.
Oh, wow.
But they're all 1861, because that's when they were given out in 62. They're flawless. And I know one guy found 9 in that field.
Wow.
So they're still there, but
yeah.
I would, I mean, that's probably a monstrous, that's probably unreasonable bucket list item.
Yeah, it's a tough one. How about like a flying eagle? Have you ever found a flying eagle?
I've got a
Yeah,
couple
of course.
flying eagles.
Smart ass.
I've never found a 3-cent nickel. I think that would be a cool
me
one.
neither. That's a tough one.
Yeah, that's going to be a weird one.
You found a silver trime, though, I'm guessing.
Yeah, I've only got a couple of those. The first silver trime I found was in 45 feet of water.
Oh, wow.
You're kidding.
Yeah.
Now, not that I'm trying to plug a Nocta product on you by any means, but as someone that scubas, that one pulse, the pulse pinpointer that has the scuba head on it.
It
Have
does.
you ever tried that? Because I don't use, it's not really practical on land, but as someone that dives, is that a practical apparatus?
No, in fact, and the reason why is because a lot of the sites that I go on have so much iron on them. You would literally just, be on the,
just go off the whole time.
Yeah, it would go off constantly.
So
right now for machines, I use a MineLab Excalibur. And then there's this guy in the Ukraine of all places that he calls it the Sea Ghost. You send him whatever metal detector you want, and he will waterproof it to about 100 feet.
Really?
Anything there is. A Nocta product, a MineLab product. I mean, he will do.
Would you do your XP Deus? Would you trust him with that expensive machine?
I mean, the Deus is waterproof as it sits to 65 feet.
Oh, that deep? I thought, no, it was that deep.
Yeah, it's just too flimsy for me, especially when you get into the environments that I'm in. You just got to have something that's a little sturdier, something you can, clip off. I'm pretty sure the Deus would handle it, no problem. But when I basically hunt in 2 tones, either iron or everything else.
Okay. Now, when you're totally submerged diving, I would think, and maybe I'm wrong, it would be easier if I collapse the machine to as short as possible so it's easier to swing, and then I'm just right down there almost on the ground with it. Is that how you would do it?
Yeah, 100%.
Okay.
Most of my machines are not much bigger than 24 inches.
Oh, all right. So you're down as short as you can get them.
As short as it'll go without sounding off on whatever equipment I have around me.
Right. Wow, that's pretty amazing. I would love to do that, Doug. I always say that. I mean, I don't know if I ever will. Sometimes it's just easier to appreciate someone else doing it because I don't want any of us to die and we don't really know what we're doing.
Yeah.
But
I'm too old to get into scuba.
I can live vicariously through guys like Matt, to watch them do it. And
I'd love to go explore some of those, mill sites that you guys have. The water around the mill sites would be off the charts.
That's where we always said that we were. In fact, that's where we went into the water a couple of times, was around some of those old mills. It's just that, without experience doing that, it's a tricky thing. You don't realize that it's as tricky as it is. You're gonna get wet. Even if it's way high for you to go get it out of the ground, your head's going under the water. Like you are
once.
You're going to get soaked.
Hey, Matt. Wait a minute, Charlie. I got to ask you, Charlie.
Than anything else. Very comical it was.
Yeah.
I got to ask Matt something.
Go ahead, Doug.
we know a fellow that he's deceased now, a good friend of ours, who found over 200 Spanish coins himself, both 8 reals and escudos, right off the Jersey shore. Now, it was probably no more than 60 feet of water. They were dredging it, pumping all the sand up to the beach, and he and a bunch of others know where this is, some may be listening, but would you be willing to come up and I could take you right to the spot and you could scuba in there and see what you can find? All the 8 reals were 1759 mintage. And
was he on a wreck? He had to be on a wreck, right?
Well, no.
He was doing the beach after a big storm.
No. They were dredging out the channel.
Oh, they were pulling it off and then dumping it on the beach.
And dumping it all up on the beach, and he was detecting the beach. But I know there's still coins there that haven't been found. Would you be willing to come up and
Yeah, I mean, it would be a fun adventure, at least for the video. I would love to. I have a couple like big adventure things I want to do in the future. I would love to do that. Bucket list. I know I never find anything, but I've gotten a couple invites to go to, was it Coin Beach in Delaware?
Oh
yeah, that's Charlie's neighborhood.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah, I would love to go hunt that. And a couple of the guys have told me, hey, if there's a storm, we'll call you and you come up there and we'll get you at least a large send off the beach.
That's
probably not too far from you, Matt.
Yeah.
Whoops. That can't be too far up. I still got the bottle picture up, Lynn.
Yeah. Oh, can't get enough of that.
Well, on the side, I'm just I glance over at it once in a while because it just makes me happy looking at it.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
That's
that first bottle on the left was 3 years in the making.
I want to go to wherever Matt found that. He can have those 8 reals, Doug. I want to get one of them.
That's what everybody tells me now, but what they don't realize is the difficulty it takes to locate a site and then execute. And, it's hard.
Yeah, I would never do it. I'm just talking out my nose.
It is hard.
Yeah, I have no intention of doing it. It's luckily there's guys like you that do it, and I can just watch in awe. I know my limitations, and that's beyond mine.
I would, but I mean, I have other things I'd like to do in the future. I've gotten big into the storytelling stuff. I would like to do. So I kind of expanded my channel a little bit last year. I added this thing called Dirt Talk into my channel, and basically, I just whenever I get to come out, I'd love to do it with you guys. Is I just take 30 minutes of a day, like real treasure hunting, and I just mic you up and I just follow you around with my camera, and we talk about metal detecting and life, and whatever you find along the way is real. Because we don't, nothing's planted, just like any of our videos.
I was going to the half an hour of that day where you are just showing the average half an hour during a hunt of you and and whoever you're working with.
Yep, the average part. Like I got to do, I've done it with amphibious detecting. I've done it with my friend Bill. And, a lot more of what it actually is the real life story. It's the story of the person, which you don't always get with the metal detecting videos. You basically were giving people highlight reels.
That's all that is.
Cool, but they're not reality.
Yeah.
And so I'd love to do some more of that stuff in the future. I have a million ideas for plans. I have, anybody that has a real treasure story, like about a cache, or, I'd love to do like a real piece on the Kentucky corn hoard, that big coin hoard they found in Kentucky. So there's a million.
Warman found earlier this year.
Yeah.
Yeah. We were all reading about that. That's amazing.
But
Matt, you're a detecting dealer now, aren't you?
Yeah, I sell little machines. I don't advertise myself as a dealer because I do sell machines. I have a website, gonediggin.net, and you can go purchase machines from there. You can buy direct there, or you can call me. You can get a hold of me. I try to answer as quickly.
Make sure you guys check it. Go on diggin.net is the website.
Yep. And we sell a few machines here or there. I buy and sell some used machines. I have a really nice Deus 2 for sale. I haven't put on the website, but I'm going to put it up here.
Good price, because I don't have one of those.
Yeah, $1,100. It's fully loaded.
Oh, that is a good price.
Yeah, it's really nice. Nice.
If anybody's in the market for a used Deus 2, make sure you hit up Matt, because that's going to go quickly.
Wow.
Yeah, that'll slide out pretty quick. But yeah, so I've done a little bit of that, and that's just kind of to support the dream, right? To help fund a few trips. I try not to make a ton of money on the metal detecting sales. But we have what's the other working on some small group events. Some other things in life didn't pan out for this year, but I've actually got a signed contract for an event for the spring of next year.
Oh, awesome.
Really personal, like kind of, intimate metal detecting event, not 300, 400, 700 people. Yeah. Just, more of an experience about learning machines and learning, meeting new people and having an actual real experience other than like running around a field or,
Now, if you're accepting applications or whatever, you'll post that on your Facebook, I guess, on your website.
Yeah, it'll go on the website. Basically, like you said earlier, I do a little bit of everything social media wise. So it'll go on the website. It will go on. Probably my YouTube channel as a post or community section. It'll go on my Facebook page or my Facebook group. So.
Well, if it's a good spot, you might have us 5 sign up first, so there'll only be 14 spots left.
Yeah, I'll. It's a good spot, but it's like I said, it's gonna be a little bit more intimate. So it'll be really cool because it will be about the metal detecting, but it'll be about the learning aspect of it, and then having that like experience where like we met at Pound the Ground. So like, 500 people out there, but you don't get to know people that way.
No, you just get to meet them. It was like, and I think it was closer to 1,000 people at that first Pound the Ground.
Yeah. It was a ton, and it was a lot of fun, but it was really a different experience. And that's not what I'm going for at all. Yeah.
It's not, it definitely wasn't intimate, but be careful, because from knowing Doug, he likes to get a little too intimate. So be careful.
Well, I'll give you guys a sneak peek. I finished the
Merrill from Detecting NYC popped in. Matt, you're bringing in all the big, and I saw Liz from Diggin here also. Welcome, guys.
That's right. So there it is.
That's a nice logo. A little campground, little gather around.
Yeah.
And you're thinking in the spring, maybe in the springtime.
Yeah. So we're shooting for March.
Okay.
There's a little hint as to where it will be, but it's going to be really cool.
So I think they're going to have a good time, and you're going to have a good, if you're new to detecting, you're going to have a really good experienced guide. And if you already know how to do it, hey, you'll go have fun with Matt. He's a good guy, easy to get along with, shoot some stories back and forth. I look forward to seeing you post it up. I'm sure however many you get, you're going to sell it out regardless. So
yeah, it should be fun. So, but yeah, that's kind of, that's me.
Well, you're a good dude, Matt. We're coming up on 2 hours. I don't want to hold you, past 9:30. So Doug, Charlie, Rich, Lynn, any last minute questions for Matt or in the chat? Because I'd like to have him out of here by 9:30. The guy's are firing. He's got to get up in the morning.
Yeah. No, I'm good.
Charlie, any questions for Matt before we get him out of here?
I always enjoy being around Matt, talking to Matt. We go over 5 years ago. We met each other at Pound the Ground, and we stay in touch now and then.
Is that where you met him also? Because that's where I first met him, up at that Pound the Ground.
Him and Ken King, we were together one night. And,
I
always remember that time spent with you guys.
Yeah, hanging out with Ken. That's another dude I really enjoy, and I love hanging out with Charlie. threatened to come hang out with Charlie all the time.
Yeah.
And we were at Brad John's birthday party picnic that time.
Oh yeah.
Oh, did
Yeah.
you go to that? I heard that he was like, everyone was like getting these door prizes that
Yeah.
had like old coins and relics and all that.
Best birthday party I've ever been to. That
I've been
wasn't
meaning to
mine.
reach
Yeah, it
out to Brad to ask him to come on the show. I just haven't gotten to it yet, but I hear he's a good dude. I've only met him a couple of times, but I got really good vibes from the guy.
Oh, and one of the best people you'll ever hang out with.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
He included our wives too. The wives were detecting. Remember, it was the guys went out detecting, the ladies went out with detectors for prizes and stuff.
Yeah.
No, he's a good dude. I'm going to have him on. Merrill, we've had on. I'm trying to go through people I know first because it's a little easier to talk to someone you know, and people you don't know as much. It's tough because you don't know anything about them, you know. But I'm meeting people doing this stuff. You know, it's a good group we got in this hobby. We're all a little strange, but we're the same type of strange, so it works out pretty good in the end.
100%. I keep threatening Merrill that I'm going to come up there. He's going to come down here. I think I got something for him now. So I'm really excited to spend some time and talk to him. And
he's a good dude. He's easy.
and
Another
hang
one,
out.
easy to get along with. We've hunted with him before here. We saw him a few weeks ago down in Arkansas. Just a good dude, good solid dude. You'll have a good time with him.
He had a great video this week. If you haven't had a chance to look at it,
I haven't yet. Merrill did.
yes,
Always entertaining.
an
Always.
old hotel site. Really, some interesting things.
Oh,
No,
cool.
it's cool.
Yeah.
So,
Super cool.
all right, well, we're going to get ready to wrap this up. We all have to leave at 6 a.m. We're driving 6.5 hours for this New England trip. We're all super stoked about. Wish us luck, Matt, for a tree showing.
Well, good luck. You find an extra one, save it for me.
That's fair. I'll let you find it. I'll throw it in front of your feet.
That's fine. I super appreciate you guys. I appreciate your videos you put out every week. The fun, the camaraderie you have, the positive energy, and what you guys do for being ambassadors to the metal detecting community, and what I so love. So I can't tell you enough thank yous for what each and every one of you do, and then for even having me on this evening. So super honor for me. And I love it. So
I appreciate you coming on. Like I said, you're a good dude. I wish people lived closer. You know, the distance is tough, but you're one of the good dudes. I always respected you. I love your diversity of hunting. So when I said we were going to start doing whatever this talking thing is, you were on my short list of, I got to get Matt on because he's got good stories. He's been around. He does so many things. So I appreciate you coming on, sharing a couple hours with us. And we'll definitely have you back on again because we barely touched the surface, Doug, of some of the cool things he's experienced.
Right.
Awesome. Thank you, guys. Well, we'll get you down here, too, to actually dig some holes in the ground.
Well, that would be great. We'll trade a couple trips. You come up here, we go down there.
I'd love it.
Oh, yeah. We'll trade all the Rev War you want for I just want one Civil War bullet. Never got a Civil War bullet.
He sucks. He can't detect.
All right, Matt, thank you very much for your time. Say hello again for your daughter, Adeline, from all of us. I hope she's doing good in school, my friend.
She's great.
And thank you again for coming on, man. I really appreciate it, brother.
Y'all have a great evening.
Take care.
Take care.
Good night.
Bye. Good dude, Doug. Good dude. I'm surprised you never met him before, but I forgot that first pound the ground you couldn't make it.
I wasn't there. No.
Yeah, so me and Charlie met him, and Plugmaster Ford and Mikey
Jeff
were
was there.
in this Philly, and we all drove up. It was a weird thing because, like Matt said, there were so many people that you couldn't really get intimate or get to know anyone, but we did get to meet everyone for at least a hot minute, which was at least kind of fun. But I don't want to hang out too long, Doug. We got to get up real early. I didn't even pack yet. I still got to take a shower and all that stuff.
I got an Eagles game to catch up on.
Underwear for the whole weekend. One pair of underwear, he said.
Great.
So I'm going to bring an extra pair just for Charlie.
Good idea.
Yeah.
So
make it extra large.
Yeah, it's going to be a good weekend. I'm excited for it. And everyone in the chat, man, I saw a lot of names that I don't see every week. So thank you.
Yeah.
It shows how much Matt is liked and respected in the community. So if I didn't get your name, I apologize. A couple, I see Sue Ramsey, metal detecting the spectrum. Alan Cleveland, metal detecting on the spectrum. I apologize.
Brian Aspinall, he's an Eagles fan.
Oh, okay. Good for him.
Yep.
How are they doing, Doug, the Eagles? I don't really follow.
The last I checked, they were down 7-0 to the Commodores.
Oh, they're playing tonight.
They're playing right now.
Oh, I just meant how are they doing in general?
Oh, they're 7-2.
Okay, that's respectable.
Yeah.
Respectable.
5-game winning streak.
But everybody in here, Merrill, thanks for stopping in. I said, Judge Girlinghouse, Audrey Oh, wow, Judge Girlinghouse and Audrey Girlinghouse. You think they're related, Rich?
I don't know.
I'm not sure either. Maybe we'll have to find out later. But we're going to end this now at 9:30 because we have a busy, busy weekend. And I'm hoping we are going to have lots of videos coming up to share with you.
I hope we need to run a U-Haul to bring all the finds back.
We've got 8 houses lined up, 8 Colonial houses. So we're going to have sore backs. We're going to have sore calves. But
Hey, Charlie, we might have to stay up there a little extra.
That's fine with me. I'm retired.
Yes, so am I.
Yeah, no, you're not retired, Doug. You still work part-time.
Wow.
But all right, we're gonna wrap this up. Rich, Lynn, I'll let you say your first goodbyes, and we're gonna close this out in about 30 seconds.
Well, good night, everybody. Thanks for stopping by, and we didn't get to say it. I hope we get a chance to dig with Matt sometime soon, and
that was really interesting.
Yeah, it was really interesting.
Yeah, we didn't even get to really touch on his knowledge. It's hard when you're
good guest. We always we dwell on questions too long, and then we don't get to other questions. So, but
the first round of all these guests, that some of them are really, really interesting. We'll do a second round now that we've gotten the politeness out because
that's what's good.
Knowledge.
Right. Yeah, that's what's good. We'll get them on again and ask all the things we want to ask.
Well, he's sitting on a hotbed of Civil War activity where he lives.
Well, he's got activity of all. Virginia is that
Colonial
area where you get a little bit of everything.
Exactly. I didn't even get to ask him if he searches for native artifacts as well.
Well, we're going to end this, and Matt's still in the green room. When we end this, I'll bring him back in. We'll have a 30-second impromptu thing.
Yeah, 30 seconds.
I'm sure it'll be.
I'm sure. I would bet the farm that he also does native, though. The guy is a treasure hunter through and through.
Yep.
I bet he's got 12 arrowhead. In fact, I saw an arrowhead in his Facebook page. I just didn't get a chance to bring it up. When we bring him back again, we'll do that.
Well,
Charlie.
Have a great weekend. Hope you guys find tons of stuff.
Yeah.
I will text you photo. Yeah, Rich isn't able to make it, so we're leaving him behind. But I will send you photos, guys, as we're pulling out these tree shillings and these
please do.
Queen Martha the Fifth,
Queen Martha.
I don't know any of the queens.
If you find one of them,
that's a rare coin.
It's a rare one. Yeah. You guys not even familiar with her. That's
no, never heard of that one.
So, all right, Charlie, any last goodbyes?
When I find my pine tree shilling this weekend, I'm going to go whale watching it. Okay,
Doug, do not let Charlie take a nap.
Oh yeah,
I'm locking his truck door so he cannot take a nap.
If he naps, he's going to find all the shillings himself. He's got to share.
And Rich needs to look under my truck while we're there.
Yeah. Once he moves his truck, that's where all the goodies are.
Yeah.
So,
all right. No, I had a great night. It was a lot of fun with Matt, guys.
Yeah, good dude. I agree. Good dude. Yeah. So, all right, we're going to get out of here, everyone. Thank you, everyone, for watching. We'll be back. Don't forget, extra bonus video this weekend, too, Doug. I'm going to be quizzing people on the live stream. Oh, and before we go, real fast, Doug, do you remember who our guest next week is, Doug?
No.
Charlie, do you remember?
Oh, gosh.
I don't think you told us, Jason.
No. I thought I did.
I don't think you did.
Maybe I didn't. Well, next week's guest, metal detecting legend.
Me?
No, not you. Anyone? The legend. Remember I told you some of it about him?
Oh, I do remember now.
Who is it?
I don't remember his name.
You don't remember? Well, Mr. Terry Shannon coming on next
Oh,
week.
yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Florida.
Wait till you hear some of his stories. The guy
Crazy
is a
stuff.
Treasure Coast legend. He wrote
Yep.
books about the stuff he's found. He was also a sheriff. He was in gunfights. Oh, man, the stories he's going to tell. I hope you guys will join us next Thursday night.
That's
Mr.
right,
Terry
Florida.
Shannon.
It's going to be awesome.
See a signed copy of his book, Doug. Super nice guy. Can't wait to get to meet him a little bit. So otherwise, we're out of here, everybody. So, hey, thank you for watching. Happy hunting, and we'll see you on the next one.
Later.
Good night.
Good night.